Well, let's take a look at the history of the space shuttles, okay? Each space shuttle is supposedly named after influential ships of science and exploration. All were built in Palmdale, California by Rockwell International.
Showing altitude of 27,000 feet now. At 2 minutes, 41 seconds from pushover.
The first space shuttle was named Enterprise, although it never flew in space, and they're telling you a true thing there. Mostly
exactly. You see how the narrative tells you things about real life.
I'm giving her all she's got, Captain.
No, you're not, because you're not going to space.
Right. So it says here, it was used to test critical phases of landing and other aspects of shuttle preparations. Enterprise was mounted on top of a modified 747 airliner for the approach and landing tests in get ready for it, 77. It was released over the vast dry lake bed at Edwards Air Force Base in California to prove it could glide and land safely. So that was your first space shuttle. It was called Enterprise. It never actually flew in space. It was just a test model. It was named after the Enterprise, the ship from Star Trek 11 years earlier, in 1966.
Which encodes both 33 and 911 on the original hull number. And to make the same point I always make, at the Johnson Space Center, you walk in, there's a mock-up of the Star Trek TV show Galileo shuttle. So you can see the farce. Go ahead, Wayne.
Columbia, this is called OV-102, Orbital Vehicle 102, was named after a sloop captained by Robert Gray, who on May 11th, 1792, maneuvered his ship through dangerous island waters to explore British Columbia and what are now the states of Washington and Oregon. Columbia was the first shuttle to fly into orbit on STS-1. Its first 4 missions were test flights to show the shuttle design was sound. Astronauts operated the robotic arm and put all the flight systems through evaluation phases during the test flights. Columbia deployed numerous satellites and operated several times as a laboratory in space during its missions, and was the only shuttle to land at White Sands Space Harbor in Las Cruces. And, you could see some encoding there. New Mexico. Columbia and its 7 astronauts were lost February 1st, 2003, when it broke apart during re-entry on its 28th mission, STS-107.
So let's see, that's 2, 3. I see the encode easily on the Challenger one because it's basically January, so 128, which is a 911 encode, but I don't see it immediately on the Columbia.
The Columbia was named after the ship that was captained by Robert Gray, there's a May 11th, 1792. There's your 92.
There's your 92. There it is. Yeah.
Yeah, they make sure that they get these in. I mean, did they really have to say? They could have just said, this is right off of the NASA website, guys, nasa.gov. This thing comes from. They could have just said, it was named after a sloop captained by Robert Gray.
Exactly. 1700s is the way you'd expect it to be written, but they give the actual date because if we took the time to look up that date, we'd be able to show it's Beltane or any number of things.
Absolutely. And, it's just one of those things. They always make sure to get that 911 encode in here with everything. If we look back at what it said in the previous little paragraph about the Columbia there, it was the only shuttle to land at Las Cruces, New Mexico, at the crossroads. So there's your crossroads right there.
There it is.
The next one we'll look at is the Challenger. And the Challenger is OV-099. And there's your 18 right there encoded with the 99. So there's your 666. And it was named after the British naval research vessel HMS Challenger that sailed the Atlantic and Pacific Oceans during the 1870s.
See, there they did it. They didn't give you the exact date.
Right. That's what I'm talking about. There was a reason they put that exact date in. And see, that's the thing that people really need to scrutinize when they're looking at this kind of stuff. Challenger was the second operational shuttle and made its first flight, STS-6, on April 4th, 1983. Challenger hosted missions that saw astronauts take the first ever spacewalks with jetpacks, including the first mission to pull a satellite out of orbit, fix it, and return it to service. Challenger and its 7 astronauts were lost January 28th, 1986, when a seal on one of its boosters failed and hot gas burned through the external tank, igniting the propellants and causing the shuttle to break up in the resulting explosion. That flight, STS-51L, was Challenger's 10th mission. So let's break apart the numbers.
So STS-51L is a 9/11 in code, but I noticed something else, Wayne. The first 2 shuttles, both of which supposedly blew up, which is a lie, they both start with C, so I wouldn't be surprised to understand it's a 33 in code, which we also find on the Enterprise hull. But go ahead.
If we look at this, STS-6, it was its first flight. It occurred on April 4th, 1983. So there's a double 4 encoding, and the 11 encoding in the 1983 when you look at the 83. So
Death's Doors, yep.
Yep. So you could see where it's been encoded that Challenger was doomed from the start. You could kind of see, and then the flight at STS-51L, which blatantly encodes 9/11 right in it, that was the Challenger's final mission. That's the one that it blew up. It was its 10th mission, which 10 being a completion number. So Challenger had completed its mission. And that's what that means. That's kind of what that encodes there.
Yeah, there's no number, and I'm looking at what you've got here. Almost every single number I can pull apart. The rocket booster weighed 2.9 million pounds. There's a 9/11, and it goes on and on and on.
The next one is Discovery OV-103, was named after one of the 2 ships used by the British explorer Captain James Cook when he discovered Hawaii and explored Alaska and northwestern Canada in the 1770s. There they are being disambiguous again with with the dates there. They're not being specific with the date. Okay, Discovery was the 3rd operational shuttle and made its first flight, STS-41D, in August 1984. See, they're not being specific there either. They're not giving you a specific date in August, just August 1984. And this
41D, STS-41D is another blatant 9/11 encode. And by the way, well, go ahead. August is the space idea, the mercurial time travel space idea. 8.
Right. Discovery has flown more than any other shuttle with 39 missions under its belt. Discovery's noteworthy career also includes both return to flight missions after the Challenger and Columbia accidents. So this was their go-to shuttle after those accidents, after those shuttles were gone. The very next shuttle that they flew was Discovery after that. So that's kind of telling in and of itself.
They end up retiring it on STS-133. So there's your 33 idea.
Right, and that's one we'll look at later because that's an important one. Okay, so this is also the space shuttle that deployed NASA's famous Hubble Space Telescope, which has altered the way we see and think of our universe. Boy, is that a telling statement?
Yeah, we live in a dream world. None of it's true.
Discovery was the first space shuttle retired from NASA's fleet following its STS-133 mission to the ISS in February-March 2011. Discovery will be moved to the Smithsonian's Udvar Hazy Center for permanent public display, and they're hiding it somewhere hazy.
Well, look how they've written this, February/March. So what you end up getting when you add it to the 2 on 2011 is 7/11, which is a 9/11 encode.
Definitely. And, it's STS-133. There's the 33 right in there, was its last mission. Okay, next let's move on to Endeavour OV-105, was named by students in elementary and secondary schools across the nation after a ship chartered to traverse the South Pacific in 1768. And if you believe that they let elementary school kids name their space shuttle, then I think you're a little delusional, especially, would elementary school children name a space shuttle Endeavour? It would be more likely that they would name it Spacey McSpaceface or something like that.
Yeah, why would they name it after a sailing ship? It's ridiculous.
Yeah, when you think about it, if you let the people name something, did you guys ever see that story where I forget what company it was? They set something up to let the public name their boat, and the public named it Boaty McBoatface, and I kid you not. And that's what you get when you let the public name something like that. So you can't tell me that this multi-billion-dollar project that they're using in all sorts of symbolic ways and for different ideas. They're going to let the public name it something because names have meaning, just like goes right along with the words have meaning game. So I don't see this as being a true fact, but this is what they claim anyway.
Yeah, go ahead. They did a similar thing on the Rosetta Philae mission where they were claiming the kids named portions of it after these really obscure Egyptian gods that no one's ever heard of. It's a bit much.
Yeah, it is a bit much. Endeavour was the last space shuttle built and was ordered to replace Challenger. The shuttle made an immediate imprint on space history in May 1992 during its first mission, STS-49. 3 spacewalking astronauts made the unprecedented effort to grab an orbiting satellite with their gloved hands and pull it into Endeavour's cargo bay so it could be repaired and relaunched from the shuttle. And once again, we're going to play if if you believe that game, then think about this logically. Okay, their claim is these things are traveling around the Earth in orbit in excess of 18,000 miles per hour. And the astronaut's going outside the shuttle, standing outside the shuttle, and going to catch the satellite with his gloved hands. Okay, tell me another one, NASA.
That's a big ballpark, man. That's a big ballpark. It almost, using gloved hands, it feels like they're trying to get you to think of the ball player at Wrigley Field or something, going to catch that fly ball. It's ridiculous.
And I wonder if those are red palmed hands that they're covering with the gloves there, Crow.
They are now, because we've caught them red-handed. We can prove outright that these are all lies.
So anyway, Endeavour was the second shuttle to retire after its successful 25th mission, STS-134, which delivered the Alpha Magnetic Spectrometer 2 to the ISS in May/June 2011. Endeavour will be moved to the California Science Center in Los Angeles for permanent public display.
I think that's the one they showed being pulled by the Toyota commercial. But let's just cut to the chase here. If you don't have anything more to add on this, let's just burn. And by the way, they do the May-June thing again, 2011 on Atlantis. The thing that I'll point out, if you want to briefly go over it, but they're going to claim this is STS-51J. Again, a full-on 9/11 code. STS would be 19/20/19. If you break that down, it becomes 121. All right, so you're looking at a 4, 51J, 5 and 4 is 9, J is 1. So the 51 becomes 9/11. They cannot not put this in your face for whatever reason. But I think people should be catching on what 9/11 means. It basically means the end of freedom, doesn't it, Wayne, at this point? If you're to sum up what the 9/11 idea is it's a roadmap to a complete takeover and total control of everything, to include the minds, very key point, the minds of the people who have been unfortunate enough to live in a time where this is going on.
Right. And I could also add in, this is just something from my own personal research and stuff that I've done and the vantage point I've taken looking at these things. 9/11, this is an encode of a cybernetic principle. It creates a feedback loop. That's what they're doing. They're controlling our reality by creating this feedback loop to take control of the system. That's what they're doing. I talk about this some in my book. I've talked about it in past podcasts and stuff that we've done here and other podcasts, that this is what cybernetics is designed to do. This is an older concept that predates the name cybernetics, but interestingly enough, cybernetics actually comes, I believe, from the Latin as well. Kybernetes, which means steersman or to pilot.
Oh, wow.
So it's talking about control, and that's what this is about, and that's exactly what's going on when you look at the 9/11 principle. It's creating a feedback loop to take control of a system.